Thank you for taking the time to watch this update from the Campus Renewal Taskforce. At its May meeting, the IHL Board passed a resolution declaring the intent for the campuses of all 8 universities to resume traditional operations this fall to provide the best academic experience in the safest manner possible. That is our charge. We formed our renewal task force in 6 working groups to help us plan for this. I'm very thankful for the thoughtful work that our task force and working groups have put in, helping us build our pathway back to campus this summer and continuing to navigate our way to this fall semester. IHL Safe Start Task Force, which included our representatives, Dr. Tammy McCoy, Dean of the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, and Jason Trufant, Director of Athletics and Recreation. This group has provided guidance for all of our universities to use going forward. We have all benefited from materials and webinars from the CDC, from various professional associations, and from other institutions. Campus Renewal Task Force Co-Chair, Dr. Scott Tollison, Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, will first make his remarks, and then you will hear from the following working group chairs who serve on the Campus Renewal Task Force in this order. Dr. Kim Whitehead, Ina E. Gordy, Honors College Director and Associate Professor of English, who chairs the Student Wellbeing Working Group. Dr. David Brooking, Student Success Center and Title III Project Director, who chairs the Academic Continuity Working Group. Melinda Lowe, Director of Outreach and Innovation and Coordinator of Education, who chairs the Health and Safety Working Group. Laura Quinn, Director of Human Resources, who chairs Faculty and Staff Wellbeing Working Group. Mark Ellard, Vice President for Administration and Chief Financial Officer, who chairs the Business Operations Working Group. Anika Perkins, Executive Director of University Relations, who chairs the Communications and Events Working Group. Then Renewal Task Force Co-Chair Carla Lowry, Chief Information Officer, will wrap this up. Other members of the Campus Renewal Task Force whom you will not be hearing from include Karen Clay, University Counsel, Dr. Jermaine McConnell, Executive Director of the Mississippi School for Mathematics and Science, and Glenda Buckhalter Richardson, Outreach Coordinator for the City of Columbus. Thank you for your patience, your understanding of the fluidity of our environment, and your help to provide our students with the best academic experience in the safest manner possible.
Thank you, President Miller. Please let me say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you might be watching this update. The past few months have indeed presented challenges none of us could have foreseen. Whether it be adapting to learning in different ways, or transitioning courses for remote instruction, are providing safety and support for our students, are giving so generously to the Student Emergency Fund. The care of our campus and our community has again proven overwhelming. I will never be able to find words adequate in either eloquence or volume to express my sincere appreciation for these efforts and this commitment. But very simply, please allow me to say thank you. And on behalf of Task Force Co-Chair Carla Lowry and myself, I would also like to thank members of the Campus Renewal Task Force and the working groups. The 41-person membership of these groups have been hard at work since the end of April, working to craft the summer and fall renewal plans. I would also like to thank members of the campus community who have contributed feedback and ideas to these groups over the past several weeks. These contributions have been and will continue to be invaluable to this process. And while we may not have all the answers at this point, I feel as though we are getting an excellent grasp of the questions. And with each meeting and each iteration of planning, we are getting closer to potential solutions. After all this effort in this uncertain environment, I wish more than anything we could tell you with absolute certainty exactly how everything will look. We are not quite there yet, but with your help, we can get there and we will get there. And with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Kim Whitehead to update you on the progress of the Student Wellbeing Working Group. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tollison. In speaking on behalf of the Student Wellbeing Working Group, I'd like to address our update directly to students. This spring, as we dealt with the emerging health crisis and moved to remote instruction, we confirmed again that the W community is indeed more than brick and mortar. However, we completely understand just how anxious you are to return to campus and the richness of our life together as a face-to-face community. We are also very eager for you to be back, but we do know that campus life will have to be different this fall. Over the last couple of months, we learned a lot about the resources you need as you study and connect with your faculty in new ways, and we want to continue to enhance that support for your academic success as we deal with changed circumstances through the fall semester. We must also focus on how to keep everyone safe and healthy as you return not only to the classroom, but also to all the student-led experiences you find so rewarding. This is new for all of us, and we're all called upon to take responsibility for both ourselves and all of those around us. We need you to be committed to and actively engaged in creating a safe campus so that we can protect everyone, and especially our most vulnerable students, faculty, and staff. So our working group's mission for this time is to promote and protect our entire community's safety and health, and to sustain and create dynamic and fulfilling ways for you to connect with each other and with other members of our community. In all of this work, we want to continue our strong tradition of care for one another, and we want to be as student-centered as possible as we take into account the needs and ideas of our diverse student community. A very big thanks to the members of this group who are giving so much of their time and have drawn on their many years of expertise in working with our students, including with you, our current students, to think about how to respond to your needs. This group includes Dwight Dowdy, Coordinator for International Student Services and Admissions, Jess Harpole, Interim Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students, Lydia Holland, SGA President, Andrew Moneymaker, Director of Housing and Residence Life, Amanda Clay Powers, Dean of Library Services, and Dr. Deb Wells, Director of Counseling Services. So now to some of our specific goals. The first is to communicate university plans and processes to students clearly and effectively. A lot of you have talked with Lydia Holland and other members of the SGA Executive Board, including through an online student survey that SGA has been conducting. We understand you are concerned to have input, to know how university operations will proceed, and to have up-to-date information as soon as it is available. We're committed to informing students transparently and regularly in ways that help to alleviate your anxiety and uncertainty about the fall. This means responding directly to your key questions and communicating through the platforms you use most regularly. A related goal is that we educate you about how to keep yourselves healthy and demonstrate your care for our entire community through responsible measures. We will all need to be fully prepared for changes in daily practices, and we want to provide you with accessible, clear information about healthy hygiene, wearing masks, social distancing across campus, and the symptoms of and testing and treatment for COVID-19. We want to provide this not only through our web presence and social media, but also across campus, and we want to ensure that it begins reaching you this summer and that we're all focused on it as you return. Another related goal is equipping you properly to protect yourselves and others through the use of masks, as well as proper practices and supplies for sanitizing across campus, including in classrooms, common areas, and other high-use spaces, offices, and residence halls. Very importantly, we also want to support student health through campus health services. And we have been in conversation with our Health and Safety Working Group about the best ways to serve students with core health services as you return to campus, but also with critical services and assistance related to testing and treatment for COVID-19. We're also very committed to continuing to support student mental health through counseling and related services, including both face-to-face and online counseling, and by empowering student groups to raise mental health awareness through peer-to-peer interaction, especially given challenges you continue to face as a result of the health crisis. Of course, as I said before, a central goal is to support your academic success in the context of any modifications that need to be made as we return to the classroom. Just to give a few examples, we want to fully support students who are immunocompromised, have underlying health conditions, or are in another high-risk group. and we talked with the Academic Continuity Working Group about online ways we can ensure we do this for classes that involve face-to-face interactions. That working group will also provide information on instructional models and making sure you're aware of how instruction will proceed if we have any interruption to face-to-face learning. We know that we must also focus on your need for technology access, even as we resume classroom instruction, as some of you may need or want to do more work online than is often the case. And we have options, such as increasing computer lab space and moving computers to create more workstations while following social distancing guidelines. We are also focusing on the fact that tutoring and academic support, writing center help, and research help through Fent Library will continue to be very important, both with a return to campus and in the event we need to move to remote instruction. Finally, as our close student-faculty working relationships are so central, we also know it will be very important for you to continue your strong advising and mentoring relationships with faculty. So we want to support them in finding creative ways within our health guidelines to keep those going. We will continue to coordinate with the Academic Continuity Working Group on these issues as planning proceeds. Our group also has a core commitment to finding all the ways we can to promote interaction and community building among students while following the guidelines for a safe campus. We want to pay special attention to efforts led by the SGA and other student groups to elicit student feedback and provide peer-to-peer support. Your SGA leadership is already working on some key initiatives, and we're sure others will emerge as our student leaders step forward. Campus units will also be working creatively to offer as full an experience as possible for students, and will make more detailed plans as we develop campus guidelines for group sizes, use of spaces and equipment, and cleaning practices. So students can expect updates on move-in day, Blues Week, and student organization programming as soon as we can fully coordinate plans to keep everyone safe as you engage in these activities that are so meaningful to you. We're also thinking about guidelines for how campus events can be staged, especially those that heavily involve students, such as those in music and theater, and those with invited speakers like our Meet the Author series and Honors Forum series. We're also discussing ways to promote student interaction in common areas across campus, including dining areas and the library, and we look forward to creative solutions to enrich all your interactions with each other. Just a note on campus housing. Housing and residence life is hard at work on planning the safest ways to house students this fall while providing a fulfilling residential experience. And they'll be sending out updates in the coming weeks to students who have applied to live on campus. Finally, we want to keep in view all the ways that the health crisis has increased financial need for students. And we want to continue to hear from you about how your vulnerabilities may have grown. We also want to ensure that we are always clearly communicating with you about avenues for aid. We want your feedback as we carefully consider all of these plans. Please let us know your concerns and questions. We look forward to talking with you and providing further updates as we go. Again, we are committed to a safe and rewarding experience for you all at the W this fall. And now I will turn it over to Dr. David Brooking for his report from the Academic Continuity Working Group.
Thank you, Dr. Whitehead. I'm for the Student Success Center and Title III project, and I am currently serving as the chair of the Academic Continuity Working Group. Members of this group are Dr. Brian Anderson, Dean of the College of Arts, Sciences, and Education, Dr. Irene Pintado, Professor of Health Education, College of Nursing and Health Sciences, Dr. Dee Larson, Chair and Professor of Marketing and Management in the College of Business and Professional Studies, Dr. Sheila Morgan, Instructional Technologist in the Costin Center for Teaching and Learning, Ika McCarter, Interim Director of Admissions, and James Harmon, Senior PC and Network Specialist in Information Technology Services. Over the past several weeks, our group has been gathering information and working to refine recommendations for the fall 2020 semester related to academic instruction. This is an ongoing process, and we are functioning in an ever-changing environment, with new information coming out on a regular basis in regards to both the public health situation and institutional and government responses to the pandemic. For example, on May 21st, the IHL board passed a resolution calling for institutions to resume traditional operations this fall, including offering as many in-person classes as possible. This most assuredly will need to be carried out in a manner that takes into account the health and safety of our students, faculty, and staff. As I mentioned, the situation we are functioning in is fluid. Even with the intent to offer as many face-to-face courses as appropriate this August, it should be understood that the possibility exists that instruction at the university will eventually transition to a remote or online setup at some point during the fall semester. With this in mind, all faculty should keep in mind ways to offer high-quality instruction in an online format from the beginning of the semester. The switch from a hybrid format to an online format could happen at any point. We know that many of you, the faculty, have very real and legitimate concerns about returning to the classroom this fall. With that in mind, in the next couple of weeks, we will be working with faculty to identify those courses that might be transitioned to remote and alternate forms of delivery. We are also faced with an incoming class of freshmen and transfer students, as well as our returning students who will not have been in a traditional face-to-face learning environment for 5 months. Every effort should be made to preserve the face-to-face instructional experience for our incoming freshmen in general and academically vulnerable students in particular, within the limits of preserving the health and safety of all involved. Additionally, certain programs and courses with academic outcomes that cannot be measured or achieved virtually, such as intermediate education, performance, laboratory, and clinical experiences, should be given priority in reserving space to facilitate social distancing during classroom instruction. To this end, with the help of the college deans, we have conducted an inventory of classrooms and alternate classroom spaces to determine their capacity following social distancing guidelines. We recommend that excess chairs and desks should be removed from classrooms. Also, fixed chairs and desks that should not be used due to distancing requirements should be clearly marked. In most instances, the revised classroom capacity will be between 1/3 and 1/2 its original capacity. We have also identified alternative spaces that traditionally have not been used to teach courses, but may be utilized to provide additional flexibility in scheduling. A clear and active plan for room and resource cleaning is necessary for academic continuity, and recommendations for this will be developed by the Health and Safety Working Group. Our working group is actively considering several instructional options for the fall to preserve the personal learning environment that we are so proud of here at MUW, with the understanding that this fall will never be considered a normal one. It is expected that some courses will switch to an online format before the beginning of the semester. Those that are listed as face-to-face will need to preserve that atmosphere within the limits of social distancing and health and safety guidelines. All models being reviewed by the Academic Continuity Working Group involve a certain amount of distance learning technology, since every course should be ready to switch to remote instruction with little notice. This means that students should be acclimated to the online instructional environment from the beginning of the semester. To facilitate these considerations, the Academic Continuity Working Group has initiated conversations about the following ideas and feels as though they warrant continued discussion. Classroom attendance requirements should actively encourage students to not attend when sick or not feeling well. This will likely necessitate that all course materials, lectures, etc. be available virtually. Masks should be worn in the classroom by students and faculty. There may be exceptions to this, with more details to come out soon. The university has secured an unlimited amount of online proctoring through Respondus Monitor. Since many classes will not be able to have students meet at once, proctoring may be a preferred solution even in face-to-face courses. An online learning module should be available in Canvas to all students as a primer for online education, with an emphasis on the discipline required to be successful as an online student. An approved syllabus statement will be provided that focuses on the possibility that the course could switch to online delivery with little notice. To minimize potential transmission of the virus, course materials and assignments should be distributed, collected, and/or returned electronically. Faculty office hours, advising, and any out-of-class meetings can be done virtually in instances in which adequate social distancing cannot be achieved. University-sanctioned Technology requirements for students, including laptop specifications and access to the internet, are necessary to ensure continuity of instruction. The specifications that will be recommended are a minimum, as certain academic programs may have additional requirements. Additional support for hybrid and online instruction should be provided to faculty, with emphasis on best practices of online education. This should also include providing faculty with the necessary equipment, webcams, mics, etc., to teach in a hybrid and online environment. This could mean outfitting more classrooms with technology, or it could mean equipping faculty with the necessary devices. Much of this will depend on cost and availability. The working group is conducting an inventory of faculty technology needs through the deans. Incoming faculty are now given access to Canvas 1 month prior to their start date. This will allow them lead time to build their Canvas courses before the beginning of the semester. The academic calendar should lead to all face-to-face interactions ending prior to the Thanksgiving holiday. This could involve other changes to the academic calendar, such as classes meeting during fall break. Lastly, this is a progress report and not a final collection of plans or recommendations. More details will be provided as we continue work on the academic continuity plan for the fall. Thank you for your time, and I will now turn it over to Melinda Lowe from the Health and Safety Working Group.
Thank you, Dr. Brooking. Hello, my name is Melinda Lowe, and I'm the Director of Outreach and Innovation and the Coordinator of Education in the School of Education. I appreciate the opportunity to address you today as the Chair of the Health and Safety Working Group. It has been an honor working with Dr. Tammy McCoy, Dean and Professor of Nursing in the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, Randy Vibrock, Chief of Police, Melissa Parsons, Associate Director of Stark Recreation Center, Robert Perkins, Residence Director for South Campus, and Jody Kennedy, Director of Facilities Management. During the month of May, we have worked diligently to remain educated and up to date on the latest CDC guidelines, as well as guidance from local and state health officials, so that faculty, staff, and students can be in a healthy and safe environment upon return to our campus. Personal understanding and compliance with CDC best practices related to COVID-19 prevention is required of everyone. However, some of the things that the Health and Safety Group is working on includes discussions on the cleaning of all campus facilities in advance of the return to our campus, as well as determining the volume and supplies necessary for ongoing disinfection and sanitization, as well as developing recommendations for personal safety practices and establishing guidelines for symptom monitoring. Cleaning and disinfecting campus will follow the recommended CDC guidelines. The university will make every attempt to keep all buildings stocked with appropriate cleaning and disinfecting supplies. It is the responsibility of all members of the university community to clean their personal items, spaces, and used surfaces. Protocols for the classroom will include students and faculty wiping down their own desk and workstation at the beginning of each class, using sanitizing wipes or other cleaning supplies that will be centrally located throughout campus buildings. Similar arrangements will be expected, developed, and communicated for other venues, including the library, athletic facilities, and computer labs. Hand hygiene and respiratory etiquette should become a high priority. All members of the W community should follow CDC guidelines for hand washing and the use of hand sanitizer when soap and water are not available. Signs should be posted in highly visible locations that promote everyday protective measures and describes how to stop the spread of germs. Members of the campus community should wear face masks unless walking alone in an outdoor space or working alone in a personal office space. Face masks should be worn in interactions with the public and in groups when social distancing is not possible. Students, faculty, and staff who are able to purchase and bring their own face mask are encouraged. Protocols are currently being established to have extra face masks available in those instances when someone forgets or loses their mask. Social distancing while on campus should be maintained at a minimum of 6 feet. In an office or classroom environment, that means a separation of desk and limiting the usage of common areas whenever possible. When meetings are unable to adhere to this social distancing standard, consider moving to a larger space or conduct an online virtual meeting. All members of our community are responsible for understanding and recognizing COVID-19 symptoms. Before entering the workplace or classroom space daily, all students, faculty, and staff should perform a self-assessment of possible COVID-19 symptoms. Protocols for students, faculty, and staff reporting any potential exposure or diagnosis of COVID-19 are being established for this eventuality. Education and awareness will be made to the community in the form of printed materials and video training. Our goal is to make sure our campus is as vibrant as ever, but it will come with a new set of individual and community responsibilities. We know the importance of staying focused on educating and getting buy-in from all members of our community, all while staying focused on our collective health, physical and social distancing, learning to wear a face mask, as well as cleaning and disinfecting. I realize that there are a lot of questions. We often say that there are more questions than we have answers. Nevertheless, we will continue to work with local and state health officials, remain educated as recommended guidelines continue to evolve, all in an effort to provide a healthy and safe campus for everyone. I appreciate your time, and now I would like to turn the conversation over to my colleague, Laura Quinn. Thank you.
Thank you, Melinda. I'm Laura Quinn, the Director of Human Resources and the Chair of the Faculty Staff Wellbeing Working Group. Our group has been meeting weekly since May 7th and includes Ashley Chisholm, Associate Professor of Legal Studies, Karen Clay, University Counsel, Glenn Halbert, Associate Director of Campus Recreation, Penny Menzel, Director of the Child and Parent Development Center, Jessica McDill, Student Success Navigator, and Dustin Nolan, Assistant Director of Systems and Networks. I'm going to address 5 topics today, and the first topic was our group's first order of business, which was to conduct a faculty staff well-being survey to understand the challenges and concerns employees may have about returning to campus operations. We had a good response to the survey. It was only 4 open-ended questions, but it provided valuable information to the Campus Renewal Taskforce in planning for summer operations and beyond. After reviewing the survey results, our group made recommendations to the task force for returning staff and faculty to campus. Those recommendations were incorporated into the summer 2020 campus renewal plan that was released on May 26th. The second topic is that we recommended each office on campus complete an office operating plan. We worked together to create a template for the operating plan, and it serves several purposes. It provides a tool for offices to evaluate their office space, traffic flow, and how they can adhere to social distancing guidelines with employees, students, and visitors. It helps offices assess their needs as to the physical arrangement of their workspace, identify common areas that could be cause for concern, and how offices will implement a daily routine for cleaning and sanitizing. The operating plan helps prepare offices for fall and addresses modifications that would need to be made when students return to campus. It is the responsibility of the supervisor to communicate this plan to their department and to ensure employees and visitors are following their plan. A copy of approved operating plans will be kept on file in Human Resources and are due on Friday, June 5th. While HR will keep the plan on file, the implementation and training is the responsibility of the supervisor and the office. The third topic is telecommuting and recaps information that was emailed to employees on June 1st. Our group supports the recommendation to supervisors that employees who are able to effectively telecommute can continue to do so if it works for the overall benefit of the department. Employees who cannot effectively telecommute should be the first employees to return to campus beginning June 8th. As of June 8th, administrative leave will no longer be available except in extenuating circumstances and only with prior approval from President Miller. All staff employees who are telecommuting or have been telecommuting should have an agreement on file in Human Resources. Agreements will stay on file in the event that we would have to implement remote operations at a later date. The decision as to which employees will telecommute and who will work in the office is at the discretion of the supervisor. Supervisors should be as flexible as possible with employees while ensuring the needs of the office are still met. Even though there is no formal summer flex plan, supervisors could implement flex schedules or alternating office days and telecommuting if it is beneficial for the office and helps to mitigate the risk for health and safety concerns. The fourth topic concerns student workers, and I know you'll be glad to hear that the target date for student workers to return to campus is July 6th. Since employees are being phased in on June 8th, we feel this timeline gives departments 4 weeks to prepare for any adjustments that need to be made to the operating plan in order for student workers to safely return. Of course, there will be guidelines that must be followed. Human Resources will send out more information next week, but some of the guidelines include student workers should not work as an office replacement for an employee who is telecommuting. Student supervisors must be working regular hours in the office, not telecommuting. Student supervisors are responsible for communicating health, hygiene, and safety guidelines to student workers, as well as any necessary training required for cleaning and sanitizing office areas. Student workers cannot telecommute. Office operating plans must be on file with Human Resources before student workers are allowed to work in that department. Student supervisors should be aware of the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. I addressed this in my next topic, but student workers could potentially be eligible for this paid leave should they meet the criteria for one of the eligible reasons. Supervisors would need to refer the student to Human Resources. And the fifth and final topic is really more of an update from Human Resources, but I am including it because it is directly related to faculty and staff well-being. Congress passed the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, which was enacted April 1st and is available until December 31st. This act provides emergency paid sick leave and expanded family and medical leave to all employees, regardless of benefits eligibility, for reasons related to COVID-19, including the closing of schools and daycares. This leave is in addition to any accrued leave an employee may have. Detailed information and instructions for applying for this leave are available on the Human Resources homepage, and the link was included in the June 1st email as well. Thank you for your time, and I will now turn it over to Mark Ellard from the Business Operations Working Group.
Thank you, Laura. Hello. I would like to start by thanking the following members of the Business Operations Working Group for their input and hard work. Nicole Patrick, Director of Student Financial Aid, Dr. Marty Brock, Dean of the College of Business and Professional Studies, Patricia Caston, Assistant to the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Susan Sobley, Director of University Accounting, and Aaron Brooks, Director of Information Systems. The business operations of a university are very complex and can be a little overwhelming when you start thinking about all the different scenarios. How do we handle students in a small financial aid office while maintaining social distancing? How do we operate the cafeteria safely? And the list goes on and on. The working group is continuing to discuss these and other issues. The working group has also focused on ways the business operations of the university could be improved in order to be more efficient and less dependent on manual processes. It did not take the group long to realize that many of the normal operating activities are completed with manual forms. We are currently reviewing options with technology and software to enable us to solve several of these issues. Recently, the Commissioner of Higher Education for the Mississippi Public University System established the Safe Start Task Force. The task force was charged with crafting a system-level plan for starting and completing the fall 2020 semester in the safest and most effective way, so that students and universities can achieve the best possible outcomes regardless of the challenging circumstances. Released in this plan are the following baseline practices associated with finance and business operations. Number one, prepare contingency plans for a wide range of reductions in budgets based on enrollment and state appropriations. Number two, carefully account for all COVID-19 related funds for potential federal reimbursement. Number three, Carefully monitor and forecast to determine whether adequate unrestricted institutional liquidity will be maintained to fund the mission and existing obligations. And number 4, develop multiple comprehensive and aggressive expense mitigation strategies in all areas of institutional operations. As conditions unfold, be prepared to implement these plans quickly and decisively to preserve the financial integrity of the institutions. In order to achieve these baseline practices, the university will need all employees to work together and support each other in order to utilize our available resources most effectively. The latest estimate of the decrease in state funding is 6.5%. And with the possibility of decreased fall enrollment and other reductions in operating and auxiliary revenues, it will be important for us to develop appropriate mitigating strategies to preserve the financial integrity of the university. The working group will continue to examine methods of achieving this goal. I would also like to mention that the university has received 3 funding sources under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, better known as the CARES Act. Number 1, emergency financial aid grants to students in the award amount of $1,094,031. These funds are to be distributed to students for expenses related to the disruption of campus operations due to coronavirus. As of May the 28th, the university has dispersed $517,400 of these funds. Number 2, institutional portion of the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund in the award amount of $1,094,030. These funds are to be used for costs associated with significant changes to the delivery of instruction due to the coronavirus. Number 3, Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund additional awards in the amount of $106,640. These funds will be used by the university to recover lost revenue as a result of the coronavirus. This pandemic continues to be a very fluid situation, as does the effects on the university. All recommendations from the working group will need to be updated as new information becomes available. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or other members of the Business Operations Working Group. And at this time, I would like to introduce Anika Perkins, Executive Director of University Relations and Chair of the Communications and Events Working Group. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And at this time, I would like to thank our members of our working group for their hard work over the past few weeks. They are Dr. Marty Hatton, Head of the Division of Education and Outreach, Jill O'Brien, Executive Assistant to the President, Andrea Stevens, Executive Director of Development and Alumni Relations, Jason Trufant, Director of Athletics and Campus Recreation, and Tyler Wheat, Communications Director. The Communications and Events Working Group, in conjunction with the Office of University Relations, is charged with developing and maintaining a communications plan for faculty, staff, and students on infection prevention and control measures, as well as any campus updates. This will be done with transparency, accuracy, and timeliness as top priorities. Goals of our plan will include to inform the campus community of changes in daily operations, to create a campus of caring through the sharing of health and safety guidelines, to continue excellence by sharing academic information, to increase internal communication through the sharing of administrative messages, and to increase alumni support by sharing opportunities of giving and volunteering. Channels that we will use will include increased use of on-campus signage, increased social media outreach, videos posted to the university's website and YouTube account, partnered messaging with student groups, alumni channels, the campus portal system, our W Alert messaging system, and frequent updates to the Campus Renewal Taskforce website. And messages that we hope to convey are: together we are advancing, a safe campus, individual social responsibility, and excellence in education. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss our plan. If you have any feedback, please reach out to me at amperkins@muw.edu. Thank you. And at this time, I would like to introduce Carla Lowry, Chief Information Officer and also co-chair of the task force.
Thanks, Anika, and thanks everyone for your time and effort during this planning process. As always, we value your input and your feedback. If you have any thoughts or ideas you wish to share, please feel free to email me those at cmlowry@muw.edu. Lowry is spelled Lowry. I'll be sure to share those with the Campus Renewal Task Force and the working groups. Thank you and have a good day.